the caller ID project. I've been wanting to do this for not long, actually. What happened was, in the whole kerfuffle of all of the things that I disconnected in the midst of the telephone line crisis, which obviously now you've seen the videos that has been resolved, I had this caller ID box in service, and I had disconnected it because it has a wren. This is, I'll show you the box first. It's an old AT&T 436 caller ID box. Nothing special. You're not going to be able to read that in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to see if I can read anything under just the right light. Wren is 0.0B. Okay. Not sure what B means. A date? Couldn't tell you. It's made in China, of course. Oh, it does open. There's little catches there. So that's interesting. There might be screws under the little rubber feet there, but I don't need to open it or do anything. I removed this from service. It actually was superfluous at the time because the phone that I had there had caller ID, and I said, let me just get this out of there to simplify things. One thing, unfortunately, I don't like about this box is it has voicemail checking. I do not use the voicemail service of my voice over IP line, but there is no way to turn off that function. And the way it works is it picks up the line, listens to the dial tone to see if there is a stutter dial tone, which would indicate that there is a message waiting on the voicemail. And that causes weird shit. It's only for like a second, maybe 3/4 of a second that it picks up the line, but it does have the adverse effect, and believe it or not, I've had this happen numerous times where somebody called and could not get through. They got a busy signal, and then they called right back and the call went through, and the reason they got a busy signal was because this was off hook and checking the line for that, and they happened to call at the very same moment. I can't tell you how many times that actually has happened over the years. It was stifling. I do have 1 or 2 more of these in service, so that could also be why. But over by the servers and that, to go with the telephone lines and all that stuff, it would be nice to have a caller ID box there. Going through an archaeological dig, I came back across this one because it was taken out of service and tossed in a box, which I happened to go through, and now is the time to hook it up. So I'm going to wall mount it, or ceiling joist support mount it. You'll see in a bit. The original box is long gone. I probably have the instruction manual. If not, I'll get one in PDF and just peruse that just for shits and grins. As I'm reaching for that, I just wanted to jump in here and mention, indeed, I already had the PDF file of the instruction booklet for this caller ID box, and it does have a date on it of August of 2000. And that, of course, makes this unit 22 years old, and it still works. So I don't have the original screws that it may have come with. Also, in that box happened to be a small package of 2 screws. And I said, that would be good. They're a good length for what I need. They'll go into wood just fine. You'll see it's recessed there, and it needs to be for how the bracket goes on. See how it mounts flush to it like that and then snaps into place? So it needs to be below the surface there so it doesn't impede on that. The one problem is These screws are just a little bit big. You can see how I can thread it into the hole there, and I don't like that. It's going to make it, because where I'm mounting this and the limited access I have is going to make it difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to waller out those holes, you see. We're going to waller those out. And I'm going to do that using my patented soldering iron I use to melt plastic. This is not really hot enough already. However, the tip of this just happens to be ever so slightly larger than that hole. So I should be able to just waller it out a little bit just by forcing it. That should be enough right there. And now I'll do this other side. Like that. Let me hit that one just one more right quick. Clean off some of the gunk. Let's see how we did. Oopsie. Not quite. Better, but not quite there. Let's hit that one more time. There we are. They definitely look bigger now. Still not quite there, but a lot looser. I guess we'll hit it one more time. Iron's definitely hot now. There it is, right in. Good. That worked a treat. Now, of course, you might be saying, well, why didn't you just drill that out? Well, so it turns out I have a drill bit right here. But this is what I use for this kind of stuff. It works perfectly. It was just the right size. This is loose in there and is indeed smaller than the screw. So this way I could just get it started, get it started easier by drilling a little pilot hole. So here's all the telephone stuff, and right there on that support piece is where I'm going to mount it. I just have it up with some Scotch tape now, just barely there, just so I can get the holes started and pilot holes drilled, and I'm going to screw it up. So here we go. I'm not going to show you that. I mean, it's just putting screws into wood. There it is. Mounted right up. No problem at all. That Scotch tape actually did the trick. I was able to drill out the holes, put the screws in, no problem. So now, I found an appropriate cord. This is one of the shortest ones I could find, and it's not that short. Yeah, I could make my own short cord, but it's fine. It's got a twist tie on it. That's good enough for me. I'll just loop out the pieces I need here, loop out the pieces I need there, and put the twist tie back. As far as hookup, it's very simple. Telephone line goes in there, which happens to be on the left side of the unit, and the telephone connection stuff is on the left side. That's convenient, so we don't have to cross any wires for no reason. It wouldn't make a difference anyway. And out to a telephone, which is going to go to the Armiger set, and of course power for this. This box is not backlit. I wish it were, but whatever. It is what it is. It turns out this device is going to be a bit superfluous in and of itself, but I'm going to leave it in service anyway, and I'm going to talk more about that after. But for now, let me get this wired up and installed and demonstrate, and then of course we will go from there. So here's the power plugged in here. I'm actually going to move it over. The reason it's here is I had a little bit of a scare. I plugged it in and nothing came up on the display, and I said, oh, what did I do? Why is this thing just not working now? Like, what's going on? It turns out I didn't have the plug in the back of it seated all the way in, and apparently it needed to be, so I need to fix that. This is kind of moved with that, but the wire goes up through that. I'll fix that in a bit, and there it is. The wire for it is that gray one at the end, comes back behind and up and right through and over there. Very nice and easy. That made for a nice run. And this line coming down goes to the Armiger phone. So I'm going to just straighten everything up, put the plug in the right spot, get the tripod set up, and we'll call it. Obviously I'm going to have to blur out what it says, but you'll get the idea. So there we are, and you will notice that the time is not set, and that will very simply set itself when the call comes in. So here we go. And you will notice that it has set the time and has displayed the number. So it all came in and it all works, and I can read it perfectly right from here. That was the whole point of this, really, just putting a caller ID box up. But I do like the fact that it's now here. So if I'm down here and a call comes in, then I can see who's calling. That's convenient. I did mention earlier that this is going to be sort of superfluous. In the series on the fixing the Wren issue on the line, I had mentioned that I wanted to put an AT&T 210 phone here, and I have one, and I think I showed that. I did, actually. Change of plans on that. And the reason why is I decided to invest in a butt set. Yep, the kind that goes on your butt. Yeah, that's the one. It's nothing special, really. As a matter of fact, all it actually is simply a telephone that has a hook switch that you click on and it stays on, and then click it again and it turns off, and that happens to have a caller ID display on it. Where I'm going to put that, I'm not exactly certain, but probably in this neck of the woods. I don't really know yet. Let me get the camera reconfigured so I could show you a potential idea I had. I actually thought of just scooching these wires over and putting 2 screws there with a piece of copper wire, and that would act as a place where the hook on it could go over, and it'll just hang there. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to see the screen too well and too easily, but, you know, again, that's what this is for. So it's not that big of a deal. And am I going to leave it connected to the line? I think I will, because that will act as a touch-tone phone. And some of you may be saying, well, what about like a lightning strike or a surge or something like that? All right, you can buy butt sets, and then you can buy real butt sets. I'm not buying a real butt set. The real ones, like they make fluke ones that cost $200-300 and do wire tracing, tone trace. I have that shit already. I don't need to duplicate any of that. And for typical home use, what do I really need? You know, basically all it is a phone that plugs into a modular jack, and they give you a set of alligator clips so you can clip onto a line, and a, was it a T65 plug? I forget the name of the plug for like a punch down block. they give you one of those. And it just goes in with one of those little coupler jobbies to couple two phone lines together. That's all there is to it. It's nothing special. So it's kind of useless in that regard. But the fun part is I read a lot of the reviews on it, and people were saying stuff like, I have the Fluke. This does everything I need, just to verify that the line works. Why get out the big expensive tool? You can knock this thing around. Yeah, it'll break if you knock it around, but even so, you know, it'll just be a simple, cheap thing. I picked it up for about $10. So you can't go wrong with that. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the Caller ID project. Looks great right there. You can definitely see it with the fluorescent light on it. So backlighting is certainly not an issue, although I still would have preferred if it were. But beggars can't be choosers. I'm using what I have. It's perfectly readable from where I'm standing. I don't have to squint or look at it funny. So everything's good. And incidentally, it says 90 calls, 75 new, all that. The reason it says that is, like I said, this used to be in service. I never cleared the memory. It holds 90 calls, and then it overwrites the oldest. So I see no need to actually empty that out at any point. That's it. We're all set. We're all done. And everything is working. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you click like. Make sure you click subscribe. And take care. I keep hitting a piece of paper here. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.